Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, then welcome to my channel. Please like and subscribe so you can see more murders and chill videos. This is the part 2 of the Murdaugh murders. Woo! Wee! I have been going back and forth on that Netflix documentary and reading up on the Murdaugh murders in different newspapers, and whew, this one, I gotta tell you, I'm almost intimidated by the amount of knowledge that I got. I'm hoping that I'm able to convey it to you in a proper way. So we're gonna give it a shot. Here we go. So on June 7th, 2021, in Hampton, South Carolina, there's a Moselle property that was owned by Alex and Maggie Murdaugh. Now, on this particular day, at about 10:07 p.m., he called the cops stating that he found his wife and his son Paul dead. He found both of them dead over in the kennel portion of the property where all the dogs were. Now, Alec, you are something. Not one thing, it's another, you know? So anyway, the cops show up. They show up at about 10:25. They kind of are trying to piece together what had happened and getting some information from Alec and, you know, pretty much saying, what do you think happened? You know, who do you think might have done this kind of thing? And one of the first things that Alec says is that his son got into a boat wreck a couple years before this, and he thinks it might be somebody retaliating against his family. So there's that. Okay. And so that's an idea. Apparently, whatever, good for them to, you know, keep in their noggin. But then 3 days later, a couple things actually happened. One was sad because 3 days later, Alec had found out that his father died. This was Paul's grandfather. You know, this was the man of the Murdaughs. He was, you know, the head honcho, basically kind of the guy who can help them get rid of problems and made things happen. And then their legacy was going to go and be passed down to Alex, so I'm sure he wanted to go ahead and make it seem credible, even though his son is out of control. Paul is out of control at this point. And I'm pretty sure he was not happy with him for a good amount of time, because even after that boat wreck that I had talked about in that first video, he was still drinking and speeding and just doing all the stupid. So, I mean, I think he was probably getting a little irritated. Well, rightfully so, even if you don't have the whole legacy issue. I mean, you don't want your kid going around doing stupid stuff like that, but whatever, that's just me. If I tried to do anything like that, oh my gosh, absolutely not. I would have to run and hide. No, no, there would not be any sweeping under the rug there. Anyway, I guess, you know, not a part of that family, so I don't go ahead and get that special treatment. Or didn't. Anyway, that was when I was living at home with my parents. But moving on. So that same day that Randolph Murdaugh died, the cops and SLED, South Carolina Law Enforcement Department, went ahead and talked with Alex more about his timeline, like what happened exactly for you that day. Take me through your day starting in the morning. So here's what his timeline was, his version of his timeline for that day. The timeline started off with him going to work. He said that he left work a little bit early because he was going to go have Paul come to his property, and they were going to hang out and, you know, be father-son-like or whatever. I don't know you know, if it was good time or whatever. Apparently he said it was fine and they were hanging out and all was good. And mind you, at this time, he had come from work. He was still wearing a blue shirt and khakis. We know this because there was a video later showing him just playing with a tree, and Paul's like videotaping him in that outfit. So keep that in mind. That's the outfit he was wearing when him and Paul were hanging out. And then Paul and Alex came to their home in Moselle, you know, and they're hanging out. And then Maggie, the mom, comes home from her doctor's appointment. So at one point, they're all together. But Maggie and Paul decided to go to the kennels. Now, Alex said that sometimes, you know, they would take a dune buggy, they would take a, you know, a quad type thing, but some other times they would just walk. So he mentioned that, but whatever. Anyway, so he said then that at this point in time, he fell asleep on the couch. He was just out for the count, you know, took a nap kind of deal. And when he was done with his nap, what he said was he sent a text to Maggie at 9:06 to let her know, because at this point, this was, you know, the date of the murder. His father had died 3 days after the murder. But murder date, 6/7/2021. He texted Maggie saying that he was going to be going to see his parents because, you know, his father was sick, his mother had dementia, and he just kind of wanted to go over there and just see them. So he goes over there. They hang out for what he says is 30 to 40 minutes, and he talked with Shelly, their caregiver, and, you know, just kind of was making sure everything was okay given the circumstances. So from there, he said he started heading back home, and, you know, while he's driving, he's answering the phone. You really shouldn't be doing that while you're driving. Are you kidding me? Like, anyway, don't text and call and everything like that when you're driving. I mean, it's not good. People get in accidents. Anyway, that's my rant. We'll move on. And then he said that he comes home and he gets there about 10:07-ish. And he sees Paul and Maggie dead. He sees Paul in, I guess there's the kennels, and then there's a door right here, like little feed area for the dogs. So he found Paul's body by the feed area, and he found Maggie's body over a little bit farther back toward where they had dune buggies and other things that were around there. And he said that he saw this, grew very scared, and he said he did the right thing and called 911. Now, cops show up at about 10:25-ish, 10:25, and they are talking to Alex, just trying to figure out what is going on. Like, this is crazy. And just so you know, I'm going to put a picture in here. When Alex called 911 and they came at 10:25, he was wearing a white shirt and shorts. Remember that. White shirt and shorts. So, like, you know, the minute they show up, he's just saying, you know, my son was in a boat accident a couple years ago. I think this is retaliation, you know, all this stuff. Going on and on. And whatever. So, at this point, remember the shirt incident? The white shirt and shorts? Well, the cops had actually asked, you know, when did you change? Kind of thing throughout the day, you know, because I see in this video right here of you playing with a tree that you're coming from the office. But then when you, came and called us up and everything, then you have changed. What time of the day did you change? And he could not answer. He was just like, I'm not sure. What? I mean, like, how do you not know? Well, and then that was very telling too, because they had done some investigating on his shirt. They actually took his shirt and just kind of looked for, like forensic evidence, like blood spatter, things like that. And they found high velocity blood spatter. Forensic science. We love you. And they were also able to find bullets at the crime scene of 2 guns, actually. Paul was shot first, and he was shot with a shotgun, but Maggie was shot second, and she was hit with a blackout rifle. They found 2 different types of bullets at the crime scene. One is for a shotgun and one was for a blackout rifle. So they figure there actually might be 2 different people now at this point who killed Maggie and Paul. So they're just trying to figure out how did that happen, kind of thing. And they knew it was this kind of bullet from this kind of gun because they had a firearm expert go ahead and, compare markings from a specific gun, and it matched. Markings matched. And interestingly enough, mind you, Murdaughs have all the guns. They are very, very into guns. Cool, whatever. I mean, they go hunting like, that's what you do. No big deal. However, when there's a murder, that's an issue because they could not find that murder weapon, and that murder weapon belonged to the Murdaughs. Throughout all their investigation, they did conclude officially that they found out that Maggie and Paul did in fact die at 9 o'clock, about 9 o'clock. Like I said, Sled asked, Alec, when did you change? He couldn't give him a time where he changed. That's kind of suspicious given the fact that one outfit has blood on it, one doesn't. Okay, a little scary there. And, from all of this, it's not good. It's not looking good for you, Alec, because there's so many questions about your timeline because things aren't matching up. And there is forensic science that they found within technology, and it's not looking good for him. And at this point, they found out with these Murdaugh murders for Paul and Maggie that it is actually relating to another crime case that happened in 2015 that is related to the Murdaughs as well. And then I'm also going to mention too that there was another murder of someone who died in 2018 that family knew for 20 years. I'll get to that in the next video. I'll give you more details then. But from there, these cases went cold. They were able to hide these cases until Maggie and Paul were murdered. Interesting. Putting all the light on him, so interesting. Now, I have to say, for as much as I did not like Paul in the previous video, and as much as I'm still angry about what happened, and as angry as I am at Paul for the last video, and as much as I don't like his mother for different reasons, I don't wish this kind of death on my worst enemy. Paul was shot in the chest, and then when he started to come out of the feeding area, he was shot through the brain, and then blood spatter just went everywhere. It was just awful. And She was shot in the legs and then shot in the chest, and then I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I have a guess. Whoever was shooting Paul, I think that Maggie, you know, as a mom, ran to Paul, and whoever was shooting saw that Maggie was going there and decided to shoot her, so then that way she could be out of the way as well, so she would not try to protect Paul, who I was, you know, assuming was just the main target and didn't even want to bother with Maggie, but, you know, that's just me speculating. I don't know. I'm, you know, I'm not a cop. I'm not an investigator. I don't have any kind of say here. It's just me saying what I think is, you know, something that really happened. But anyway, we move on. When that happened, everything came out. And when it did, it was not good for the Murdaugh family. And I will have to tell you more and more about it on my next video. Thank you very much for watching. And in the meantime, stay weird. Be safe.